All right, let's just get this crap over with. Well, what's going on, Colts Nation? Well, the Indianapolis Colts basically are done for the season. They fall to the Denver Broncos by a score of 31-13. Colts jumped out to a 10-0 lead there, and we're leading at halftime 13-7. Then all of a sudden, in that fourth quarter, everything collapsed. The Colts just continued to get outscored, and in that second half, they were outscored 24-0. The Colts did not score in the second half. I mean, just an absolute disaster in a must-win game for the Colts. Indianapolis comes out flat, as they often do in the Chris Ballard era, and the Colts now have gone back-to-back seasons, falling short when the expectations and the necessity to rise to the occasion happen. The Colts fall short. They do so in this game, and definitely a tightly contested game, really up until, pretty much halfway to almost the end of that fourth quarter. The Colts were in that game, and then some untimely things happened, and the Colts not able to take care of business and fall to 6-8 on the season, essentially out of the playoff picture now for the second straight season. Actually, they haven't made the playoffs now since 2020, so, a fourth straight season of losing. Chris Ballard continues to have a losing team every single year, and, just a continual failure by this team routinely, and just another prime example of this. And there's so much I could say, and I'm probably going to make a video with some other Colts content creator, probably have it out tomorrow, kind of talking a little bit more in depth about Chris Ballard, the absolute failure, the absolute joke of a GM he is, how his hubris and just his overall arrogance has really doomed this organization for nearly a decade. We're going to talk about that at a later video, but basically, I think about it like this. There's no way that if Jim Irsay actually gives a crap about Colts fans, that Chris Ballard is back. That's just what I'm going to say. It's just another abject failure of a season. Everything looked out of sync. And this is a game, guys, where unfortunately the defense had this defense, despite the fact that the defense had this phenomenal performance. They did a great job on the Broncos pretty much all day long. Despite the fact that they did that, the offense just continued to struggle in that second half, especially. And as we've seen all year long, the Indianapolis Colts are just comically bad when it comes to complimentary football. It's just so bad. And the Colts just continued to do it. And honestly, and frankly, that's what bad football teams do. Colts did not look like they wanted to win this game. Even when the Colts were up, they kept, basically crapping away opportunities to win, opportunities to take control of this game. And the Colts continued to pee down their own leg. Just some comical errors by two of your captains, by the way, making these absolutely ridiculous errors. Jonathan Taylor, stupidity, the biggest amount of stupidity you could ever think. Your captain, the guy that you paid all that money to, doesn't even have the common sense to hold on to the football past the goal line. My gosh, how many lowlights have we seen of players not doing that? Of players just making those comically bad mistakes. How does he not understand that? It's infuriating. And that is what this team is. That is the culture of this team right there in a nutshell. What Jonathan Taylor did, what Michael Pittman did, your two captains crapping away the game for you. And they're not a tough football team. Their captains are doing that. That's an issue. This is a complete failure. This organization is in shambles. It's a mess. It's an absolute disaster. And I think that's just not even putting it lightly. This organization is committed to mediocrity. Jim Irsay is committed to mediocrity. Chris Ballard is the definition of mediocrity. And if Jim Irsay gives any sort of crap about the fans, he's going to fire Chris Ballard. He's going to start this whole thing over, because I am sick and tired of the commitment to mediocrity and not the commitment to win football games. It doesn't matter with Chris Ballard. He doesn't care. He's too prideful. He doesn't care. Jim Irsay, if you give any sort of crap about the fan base, you will make this decision. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what hard conversations you have to have. This is happening because this is an absolute embarrassment. I tweeted this out. I'm getting heated here, guys. I don't care anymore. I'm not holding back anymore. I try to keep it pretty even keeled, but I just can't. I just can't right now. Because, and I know Derek is going to feel the same way. We're going to talk about it. Derek not able to do it. Shout out to him for doing the play-by-play. He's not able to be here. But there's just so much wrong with this organization. So much wrong with this organization, starting at the top. Chris Ballard is a loser. He's a losing GM. The record says it. His commitment to mediocrity says it. If you're not trying to be the best, then what are you trying to be? Honestly. And I tweeted this out, and I just want to read this for you guys because this is how I feel about this team, okay? This is how I feel about this team. I have become so numb to this team, guys. I don't look forward to watching the Colts play anymore. And that is sad because I love the Indianapolis Colts. I love this team. This team has meant so much to me, really, ever since I started watching football. This team has been a constant in my life year in and year out. But it's sad because, guys, I really do want to be excited. I want to be excited. I want to have the feeling that I used to feel when the Colts came on. Like, I wouldn't miss it. But I'm going to be honest, there are so many games this year that I haven't really even cared. I've made other priorities over watching the Colts play because it's been a thing, a gradual thing with me, and that's something 5 years ago I would have never have thought about. I would have never even contemplated. The Colts have done this, and if something does not change with this team from the top down with this organization, I'm not going to be the only one that feels that way, where we are numb. We don't even care that the Colts are playing anymore, and we certainly aren't going to support them financially. I mean, if Jim Irsay truly cares about the fans, he'll listen to the fans. And it's not just the fans. I mean, the record speaks for itself. It's unbelievable. And I haven't even gotten into this game yet. I'm just so heated because it's another year of mediocrity, a year running it back, saying we like our guys, we're not going to make any outside moves, and here you are again on the outside looking in. And that's what you're going to get with Chris Ballard. It's not going to change. He said a couple years ago, I failed. What has he done since then to make this team better? Honestly, what has he done to make this team better? Absolutely nothing. He's done nothing of note to make this team better. Nothing of note. He's a loser. He's an absolute loser of a GM. He doesn't want to be the best. He doesn't want this team to be the best. He doesn't care about that. Jim Irsay, do you really care about the fans as much as you say you do? Because if you don't, then it's time to move on, man. It's time to sell the team because we want to win. We don't want to just be okay enough to be respectable enough. No, we want to be a top contender. That's what we want. That's what every fan base wants. Chris Ballard's not going to be the guy that's going to make that happen. He's just not going to be that guy. Just not going to be that guy. You got to open your eyes a little bit, get past your own self, and get past the relationship you might have with Chris Ballard. Put the personal feelings aside and say, at the end of the day, this is a business. This is a results-oriented league. The results have not been there. Chris has not been the type of GM he needs to be for this organization. So we need to fire him. That's what needs to happen. And I don't even want to talk about this game because there's so much crap you could talk about. I mean, really nobody on this offense was good today. Absolutely nobody. I mean, you just kind of look at it. I mean, somehow, some way, the Colts still led the time of possession. They had over 300 yards. They had 150 yards rushing. But they just could not get in a rhythm. They had more first downs than the Broncos. They had a lot of penalties, for sure. They had 5 turnovers in this game. And just so many stupid, self-inflicted things. And this team, like I said, it just doesn't play complimentary football at all this year. Just hasn't. And that's a shame because the defense, I think, had its best performance of the year. It's just a big bummer. I mean, a real big bummer. I mean, when you kind of dive into it a little bit, when you're looking at the offense, I mean, Anthony Richardson, I would say probably one of, if not his worst performances of his career. 17 of 38, 172 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 36 quarterback rating. I mean, that's just not going to get it done, to be honest with you. I don't care if Denver has a really good secondary. That's not going to get it done. And he started out really good. in this game. Really good. And then it just felt like the Colts went away from some of their short to intermediate game, and it definitely didn't help that the offensive line for the Colts was god-awful today. I mean, Anthony Richardson was constantly had pressure in his face. I mean, he avoided so many would-be sacks by pretty much any other quarterback in the league outside of maybe Josh Allen, maybe like Lamar Jackson. He avoided so many today, but he still wasn't good. I mean, the accuracy was off. He had 2 really bad interceptions in this game and just was an absolute poor performance from Anthony Richardson. Definitely didn't help that his receivers did him no favors in this game. I mean, multiple drops by multiple guys. Michael Pittman Jr. was awful today. I mean, he should take that captain badge off because he was terrible today. He had that critical fumble. He at least dropped 2 passes today. I mean, just an absolute embarrassment from Michael Pittman Jr. with 9 targets, six catches, 58 yards, and really responsible for multiple miscues in this game. I mean, just an absolute disaster there. Ironically enough, Kylan Granson had his best performance of the season, 3 catches for 47 yards, Downs 3 for 32. Downs had a really big catch in that first drive, and Colts really didn't go back to him a whole lot in this game. Anthony Gould had a big 23-yard reception. He also did some work in the special teams on a punt return, which ultimately the Colts couldn't really capitalize off of. Well, the 2024 NFL season for the Indianapolis Colts is in full swing. And with that, wanted to share the sponsor of today's video, Prize Picks.
When it comes to Prize Picks, this is going to be a great way for you guys, especially, to check out some of the stuff that Prize Picks has.
You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You heard me right. Only 4 correct picks. You can win 100 times your money, guys, on Prize Picks. Be sure to sign up today and get $50 off instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed.
So if you're looking specifically for the Colts stuff, that's definitely something you guys should check out. But if you're looking for, like me, more NFL stuff, there's all sorts of stats and stuff that you can check out and make your picks. And there's definitely guys that are very consistent, like Jonathan Taylor against the Houston Texans, that you really feel like you can probably feel pretty good about overall, right? And there's some other ones where you're like, I don't know if I would take the over on that. I don't know if I would pick them to hit that margin, right? So, guys, be sure to go check out all that stuff on Prize Picks. It's only a couple examples. There's all the different odds that you could hope for when it comes to that for Prize Picks. So I highly encourage you guys to go check that out, but definitely excited for this season, and hopefully you guys will be following along with us and everything with Prize Picks and what they do.
So be sure to download the app today. Use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Like I said, guys, it's a great way to continue to stay in with week-to-week life of the NFL, specifically with your favorite team, the Indianapolis Colts. So be sure to do that. Be sure to check out Prize Picks. And remember, Prize Picks, run your game. But yeah, I mean, overall, guys, there's not a whole lot to say about the offense. I mean, Shane Steichen has been just a bad play caller all year. And this is just another instance of it. And, of course, you got to talk about the absolutely stupid decision to do a pass to Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell throws it back, gets pick sixed, and really kills any momentum you had there. So just an absolutely stupid play call for Shane Steichen. It's still a one-possession game, and you elect to do that? Like, are you kidding me, man? I mean, it's so funny. It's like Jonathan Taylor with that dropped touchdown that he had where he dropped the ball, like right before he crossed the pylon. He was like, he's like, I'm going to make the stupidest play possible. And Shane Steichen's like, hold my beer. And he did it and made it even worse. Just absolutely stupid, horrendous decision. I honestly don't know, guys. Shane Steichen has been that bad this year. I'd be okay if the Colts blew it up, if they moved on from Shane and they just started with a fresh new coaching staff. I mean, to be honest with you, that's kind of where I'm at with it. And it's sad that Gus Bradley was the best coordinator today. I mean, it really is, because he's been the guy we've been talking about. He needs to be fired all year, but to give him and the defense credit, they did everything they could in this game to help the Colts win. I mean, they really did. They really did. They had a late touchdown they let up. Then they had another one where they were against some short field. But, I mean, overall, if you were to tell me that when you look at this game, the defense played as well as they did, I think you and I would have signed up for this. I really do think you would. But I do think, guys, that fumble by JT was really a momentum swing for the Colts in the wrong direction. I mean, after that, the Colts got outscored 24-0. It was just absolutely terrible. And they just couldn't stop the bleeding. It just felt like inevitably you knew the dam was going to break eventually, and then it really did. When it came to that, I think it was a punt return that got returned for really good yardage. The Broncos scored, and then just kind of the nail in the coffin was that pick six off of that double pass play, and just the Colts shooting themselves in the foot, making very stupid play calls. AR got intercepted one more time, and that was pretty much it. I mean, the game was pretty much on ice then. But the Colts were in this game. They were very competitive for really three and a half quarters or so. And then that fourth quarter came along, and it was just an absolute disaster. Really, that second half was really bad for the Colts, all things considered. Colts were still in the lead for part of that third quarter, and then really just fell apart when it mattered. So, guys, I could go into detail, but to be honest with you, this team isn't worth it. It's just not worth it to me to go into detail. I mean, I think when you look at the future of this team, so you still have some young pieces. You still have some things you can build off of. But there is a lot of fat you got to trim off this team from the GM, the coaching staff, certain players. I mean, there's a lot of work that's going to need to be done by this Indianapolis Colts, whoever's running the show. Hopefully it's not Chris Ballard, because I think, frankly, he should have been fired 3 years ago at this point. But it's just been bad, guys. It's been really, really bad. And this team continues to prove that they are not contenders. They are pretenders. Once again, Chris Ballard continues to prove he is in the bottom half of GMs in the NFL, not the top half. I don't care what Jim Irsay says. It's just a disaster. Starts at the top. This organization needs a complete overhaul. And it's very obvious to us that the Colts aren't going anywhere with Chris Ballard. There's no direction with this team. There's no direction with this franchise with Chris Ballard calling the shots. I mean, this dude doesn't care about winning. I mean, it's very obvious. It's very evident. And the Colts would be wise to move on from him and really blow the thing up, start over really from the top, and let the new guy, whoever that is, kind of decide everything and let it flow through him. I think that would be the wisest decision for the Colts, because Chris Ballard's not the guy. If the Colts continue to roll with Chris Ballard, they're just going to continue to lose the fan base. So, Jim Irsay, if you're watching this by chance, and if you continue to roll with Chris Ballard, be prepared to continue to have opposing teams completely overriding your stadium, because I know myself and multiple other fans, we probably won't be going to these games because it's not worth watching a mediocre team continue to be mediocre, continue to not strive to be the best. I mean, we know what excellence has looked like, and this last decade of Colts football has not been anywhere near that. And Chris Ballard has been the core problem. Jim Irsay has been the core problem. Both those guys got to figure it out. Jim Irsay has to buck up, make a hard decision for the future of this franchise, or else he's going to lose his fan base. I really do believe he's going to lose his fan base. I know I had multiple people on Twitter telling me I'm packing it up for the season. I'm done. Appreciate you. But if you are still watching this, I do appreciate you guys. I mean, guys, we know the season's pretty much done for the Colts at this point. We're going to cover the last 3 games here, but I mean, we talked about it at the beginning. You kind of previewing this game. You know, the Colts have under 10% chance of making the playoffs now. There's really no chance in my mind that the Colts are going to make the playoffs, and they're going to continue that playoff drought for another year, hopefully the final year of Chris Ballard's tenure, because this is just a rinse and repeat. I mean, how many years do you have to have these big games for the Colts to fall on their face to know that this team is fundamentally flawed? It starts up top, and the Colts got to make a lot of changes because fans are fed up, and I don't blame them. I don't blame fans. I'm fed up. I'm done watching this team. I'm done rooting for this team with Chris Ballard. I mean, I always root for this team, obviously, but Chris Ballard's calling the shots. I have no faith in this team and no confidence in the direction of this organization moving forward. It's to that point, guys. So Chris Ballard's got to go. Will Jim Irsay do it? I don't know. But, Jim, if you don't, I'm just going to tell you, man, it's really, really going to hurt your reputation with a lot of fans. So, yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Short and sweet, to the point. This Colts team is bad. We knew that. Chris Ballard's bad. We knew that. Jim Irsay is the one that's got to know that. He's got to make the decision. And I guess we'll just see how the final 3 weeks play out. And I'm never one to root for losses, but hey, draft position is important. So I'll be totally fine if the Colts don't win another game this year. As sad as that is for me to say, I never thought I'd be saying that, but that's the point we are with virtually no chance of making the playoffs. So, yeah, guys, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm curious your thoughts overall. Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. But yeah, guys, that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, fire Chris Ballard.